I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listen Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Man Listen Show. You can subscribe to the show on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up, hit that bell icon so you can be notified when we put out a new show. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, basically anywhere you can find a podcast. Make sure you share the show and make sure you let everybody know about the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. I'm your host, Marv B. Let's bring the crew in. All right. So as y'all can see, it's the two talkative ones. Me and Aryka today. See a laugh, got some other things going on. But what's up with you?
Shit, I'm good. You know me.
So it's funny we talk about this because normally see and laugh the sports experts. But your boy Scottie Pippen, he's been getting a lot of flack lately because of the comments he made about Michael Jordan. So basically he was interviewed on Stacey King's podcast. Stacey King was a former Bulls player as well. And I don't know how it came up because I didn't watch the podcast, but I just saw a bunch of people on social media. You know, Jordan got a lot of stands. Jordan got a lot of like irrational fans on social media, right? And Scottie said basically, and I'm paraphrasing, he said Jordan was a horrible player when he first got into the league. I think if you put context to it, he wasn't saying that he was a horrible player because you can't say that, right? But he was saying that he was horrible to play with. He said there was a lot of one-on-one basketball, and he just wasn't a good teammate, basically. Then, obviously, it clicked after a few years. Scottie came to the team 3 years after Jordan was drafted. And then, you know, obviously it clicked. They won 6 championships in 8 years, probably one of the greatest teams ever. And now it seems like there's some beef between the dynamic duo Jordan and Pippen. So a lot of people have been talking, you know, they've been taking Scottie through the ringers. They've been talking about how he wouldn't have been anything if it wasn't for Jordan. And then you got some people who are, you know, coming back trying to defend Scottie. What you think? You think Scottie's tripping?
I think Scottie's tripping because he's an old ass man talking about 20 years ago, like he's still butthurt about it. I mean, obviously, I don't want to be called anybody's Robin. I want to be the star of the show too. I don't want to be the sidekick or the person that helps the best team in the world. But sometimes you have to really just acknowledge that there's going to be a person who gets all of the attention and a person who can still be a great player. No one's taken from him that he's a great player and that he was essential to that team winning and creating the legacy that they created. Like, clearly one of my favorite players was Dennis Rodman, and that's just because he was out there making it happen, taking the fouls, getting, you know, all the rebounds, doing what he had to do. But obviously everybody played their role. So you played your role. Michael Jordan is a closer. He's a winner. So he's going to always get that attention as a closer. Now, whether he was a horrible person to play with, who cares? We all got horrible people at our job. We don't care. No one cares. You are a millionaire.
I care. But I'll say this. I think, obviously, Jordan is due all the accolades that he gets. I think, in hindsight, a lot of us are judgmental about some of the things that we heard about Mike. I could bring up one. You know, Republicans wear shoes too, and how Mike never really, like, you know, took a stance when it came to politics and for the Black community. So some people take issue with that, especially when you start talking about comparisons between him and LeBron. And I think a lot of this is rooted in some of the comparisons. Unfortunately, in the Black community, we tend to pit our celebrities and our stars against one another instead of just appreciating everybody and everybody's contributions to the game or to music or whatever. I never see, or hear. I mean, I don't really hang out with a lot of white folks, but you never like say who's better, Larry Bird or Larry Bird
Coach.
or John Stockton. You know what I mean? You never
Yeah.
really, obviously it's Larry Bird, but you know what I'm saying? You never really hear those comparisons. You never really hear like, oh, who's better, the Rolling Stones or Led Zeppelin? They just appreciate all the music. And I think Scottie felt some type of way because, Mike had the documentary. Mike was a star of the team. Scottie was a star too. And I don't think Mike would have won those 6 championships without Scottie. I mean, that's clear. Scottie was a complimentary piece, but he was a star in his own right. I mean, he is a top 50 NBA player. I think he's a top 75 NBA player. He's got all those rings, 6 rings, 2-time gold medal champion. Scottie had a great career. So I get why he feels somewhat slighted by Jordan, because when you read his interviews back in the day, he used to be pro Mike, obviously, which he should have been. He was his teammate. They won together.
Right.
But when Mike came out with the documentary, and the way that it was put out, it really just focused on Mike, and it really just made Scottie and the other teammates a supporting cast. And I feel, and obviously Scottie feels as if there should have been more said about the team, because, right, you don't win with just one player, you win with a team. And he puts the fault on Mike because Mike was the person with final say so. Mike could have said, no, y'all needed to talk more about my teammates, but he didn't. Why he's shocked about that, I don't know, because we all know Mike's personality. Why would he had the foresight to be like, okay, let's play them up? Because obviously it's a documentary about Jordan.
Clearly.
So I kind of see why Scott's pissed, but it's projecting in a way that is not a good look.
It's looking messy because his wife got stolen.
I didn't want to bring. I was waiting for that one.
It's just messy. Sad.
And then you bring up the fact that Mike's son is bagging your ex-wife.
Yeah.
So it looks bad.
I mean, when you get you an NBA wife, or what is it? Housewife, what's some things?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they don't say NBA because they can't do the license. Basketball housewife.
Oh, basketball wives. Okay, so when you get you a basketball wife, you get you basketball wife problems. So, I mean, and maybe he wouldn't do what he needed to do. So, but you can't come out 20 years after it and crying about.
What you mean he wasn't doing what he needed to do? What you mean by that?
I'm saying he can't be mad about the Larsa and baby Jordan situation with Jordan. Because he can't control what his son do.
I was going to say, because according to Larsa, and I think she was full of it when she said this. According to Larsa, they had sex 4 times a night, every night.
Her and Pippen?
Yes. She said that.
So you got to see who. So I was thinking about this the other day. So how does that math, right? So are you counting like sessions? Or are you counting times that a person comes? Because 4 times a night, is that sessions or is that just?
Well, she made it seem, and listen, I'm in my mid-40s, so.
He said, I don't care how that math.
But the way she made it seem like, hey, he wasn't cutting her no slack. There was no nights off, 4 times a night.
Maybe that's wrong with her. Maybe she needed a night off. Maybe she's tired.
I don't know, man. But yeah, it's not a good look, man. I don't want to get all messy like that, but
right.
But it's not a good look. But people coming at Scottie hard, no pun intended, because obviously Michael Jordan has fanatics. The word fans comes from fanatics, right? And people go hard for Michael Jordan. the whole LeBron versus MJ comparison. I think statistically, I don't think it's even close. LeBron is going to be the greatest player to ever play the game statistically. Now, when you're talking about a winner, people will say Mike. There's people who have other arguments that say, hey, listen, there's other people who got more rings than Mike. You know, that you got to talk about Bill Russell, you got to talk about Kareem. But I think that people have put Michael Jordan on such a pedestal that any type of criticism from anybody, they are ready to pounce and to go after that person. And they're going after Scottie hard. I mean, Stephen A. Smith went at him, pretty hard in the paint because they allude to that the reason why Scottie has changed his opinion on Mike is because Mike's son is now dating Scottie's ex-wife.
Well, I think the timing is questionable. But I grew up in a diehard Jordan family. Like, and my dad was like, we can't buy nothing but Jordans and Nikes. And I was like, okay. So, but at the same time, I think that when you say like fanatics, like people are fanatics about Jordan. And when you see these arguments still exist in this Jordan versus LeBron stats and all this other stuff, and then you have somebody who was an assistant pimp on the Bulls team, then you like, dude, why are you even
shout out to How High.
like now you want to jump into the argument? Like we were just over here on LeBron, but if you want to enter the conversation, we could also talk about you. And I think it's just calling attention to yourself, and really you should just be calling attention at that age and at that level of accomplishment. You should just be speaking to what you have done, to what you have accomplished, instead of speaking on really anybody else, because regardless to what they got going on now.
Yeah, but I think that's the point that he's trying to make, though, that listen, these are my accomplishments. You know, I am a 6-time NBA world champion. I am a gold medal winner twice over. Whatever other accolades he has as well. So I think that's the point he's trying to make. We're not just a support cast. We are champions too, and we should be treated with respect as well. Because in his mind, he said, listen, when we won, it was all about Mike. But when we lost, it was all about us. So I think there's some built up animosity that Scottie has, had over the years. And maybe, just maybe, the relationship with the son and the ex-wife, that was the breaking point. That's the one.
Yeah,
he's like,
exacerbated
I'm not buying my. But I got to think that at Scottie's age, he's be well into his 50s, right? Damn near 60. Got to be.
Gotta be.
I got to think at Scottie's old age, he can separate Mike's son from Mike. Because at the end of the day, the person who's the real villain in the whole story, Larsa Pippen. You dating you dating one of your ex-husband's co-workers' son.
Does that make you a villain?
What's the age difference? Let's look it up. The
age difference is she got used to 4 times a day.
That don't make her a villain. So what's Larsa?
No, it doesn't make her a villain. You get her to a certain lifestyle, you got to keep up that lifestyle.
Larsa Pippen is 48. We'll see with Jordan's son. What's the son's name? Jeffrey or something?
I don't know. Son? MJJ?
Michael Jordan's son, right? Everybody care about that. He's Michael Jordan's son.
He hasn't accomplished anything. She over there. That's Scottie's real problem. That she over there hanging out with this dude on his dime. Neither one of them have probably accomplished anything with their lives. They just spending Scottie's money.
Okay, so we'll say I think it's Marcus Jordan. Marcus is the oldest boy. I think it's Marcus and Larsa. And she's 48. He's 32. 16 years. That's come on now. That's tough.
Listen, you signed me up for 4 times a day.
Man, you couldn't handle 4 times a day. That little boy wear you
I'm sorry. Please do
Mo-
not play with me like
moving
that.
on. Moving on. But you got to think 32, 48, that's 16 years, right?
Hmm.
I don't know when she was married to Scotty. I don't really get on to the gossip or whatever, but
That's the real question.
you got to think that she was around. They had to been around each other when this dude was a minor. Now, if the roles were reversed, and again, I'm not really digging deep into it to really see
Mm.
like timeline and everything. But if
We're
we
not insinuating.
right, so if we assume that she
Hmm.
was with Scotty while they were still teammates, right? Because they were still teammates, and then so 16. When did they last play together?
98, 97.
So the Bulls' last championship was 1998.
Okay. Yeah, 98.
That's 25 years ago.
Oof.
25 years ago. So
She was a baby.
that means Marcus would have been what, 7 years old?
And she was,
23.
huh?
23.
Yeah, but he was probably like, ooh. She probably was like,
No,
hey.
no, 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 no. Listen, you know, if the roles were reversed,
Yes.
if the roles were reversed, and it was a man who was, basically going after a woman that he had been around since she was a kid, people would allege grooming, how mom
Hmm.
was out doing this. It would be inappropriate.
But are we alleging that? Because no one else is alleging that.
It don't look good.
She's she's like they
Optics,
just reconnected.
the optics don't look good.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, it don't look good. And so that's why I'm saying, like, that's why I said she's the villain in this whole shit. Because like out of everybody that you could date, you're gonna date your ex-husband's teammates, son that you was around when they was a kid. And you can assume that she could say, well, I never saw the kids, we weren't around. I call BS on that.
Yeah, for sure.
I call BS on that, right? But it don't look good.
No, the optics are bad, but there's a difference between ridiculous and villain, I would say. Like she's a basketball wife. So I mean
She's the villain in this story. I'm not
what
saying she's
level
necessarily a
of
bad person.
respectability are we holding her to at this point? Like she's not like Michelle Obama. She's like a
This,
basketball wife. So is it that ridiculous and that egregious? Not really. A basketball wife found another basketball player's relative. Like they really move in these circles. So, you know,
I got you.
I mean, I guess I'm not, it's like you like, you know, we're gonna try to get one of them to solve a rocket science equation. We're not gonna do that.
I still think though we still have to have a standard in the community,
We should.
and that standard should be you can't be smashing a boy that you saw grow up.
We should. But do we?
Maybe that's the problem. What's the issue? What you doing?
The dog escaped and the child came and crept up trying to snatch the dog, but it was such a production.
I got you. I got you. So moving on. Anime Bullet. Tina Turner. Shout out to East St. Louis, right? Shout out to East St. Louis, Aryka from the East Side. She passed away. She lived a good life. Let's see, how old was Tina Turner?
Was it 79?
83.
Ooh. Oh.
Tina lived a Tina lived a good life. She was 83 years old when she passed away. News reports showed like the last few years of her life, she struggled. She struggled with her health. So rest in peace to Tina Turner. Now, obviously, all of us were familiar with her music. And then after the movie What's Love Got to Do When It came out, we became familiar with the story between her and her ex-husband Ike Turner, and how horrific that was with the abuse that he inflicted upon her, which was terrible. I mean, I watched that movie and I was like, damn, I didn't, I wasn't, we're at an age where we weren't really that familiar with Ike Turner. So our first exposure to Ike Turner was through the movie. And
Yeah.
just kind of like, damn, I think people who are older than us, like our parents, whatever, they probably knew them when they were a band. So maybe they knew about it, maybe they didn't. Obviously, they didn't have internet, social media like we did, like we do. But I'm bringing it up because we often talk about wealth and generational wealth in the community. Now, they said Tina Turner her estate was worth $250 million. And you know who got that money? Her ex-husband, her white ex-husband got, they said he's entitled like 50% of it. And then it was kind of vague on the rest of it. I was holding out hope because I was like, all right, well, he got 125. And I said, okay, let's see where the rest of the money's going. Now, I don't think she had any grandkids, and her two biological children passed away before her, unfortunately. So then there's the two children that Ike had that she adopted. I don't know if she adopted them or not, but she helped to raise them. But that Ike had before he got with her. And I think that they were estranged. So the reports say the rest of the money, and she was estranged with her two biological kids too before they passed away. But the report says the rest of her money is going to her adopted in-laws, which to me means more white folks. So the money, and put it out here, because a lot of people are like, well, it's her money. Yeah, you're right. It's her money. She earned it. She can do with it what she wants. But when we talk about, what we want from our celebrities, and how can they, us building wealth in the community, Tina's money didn't even last one generation. It didn't even last one generation, and it's back with them white folks. Are we being nosy? Are we being? Is it a problem? I mean, am I the only one that kind of is like, damn, man, this don't even seem right?
No, when I saw what Dr. Umar posted about it, I was like, ugh.
They don't look
I
good.
don't disagree. I don't disagree. I mean, you could have at least made a charitable donation. Something to the community. Anything. Like, I get that he gave you a kidney, but I mean,
Let me tell you something. If I got a stake and $250 million, I can give you my kidney, liver, left hand, whatever.
left nut.
Yeah. So people keep bringing up that kidney, and I'm like, I mean, there's people that donate, but if I got 125 million quarter billion dollars at stake, is it really that altruistic? Now, he probably loved her.
For
Man,
sure.
boy,
They spent a long time together. He at least tolerated her.
hey, listen, what do they call it? A long con? I don't, I can't say it was a long con, but because I don't know that man, I don't know their relationship. Obviously, he took care of her, so obviously there was love there, but it just don't seem right.
No, it don't sit right with me either. And I'm not one for getting in people's business. Like, but but I do think that it's something to be said about the fact that we spend our money pouring into these Black celebrities with the idea and with the intention that we're supporting our own, and then they do things like sell our Black owned hair care products to a white distributor and then end up messing us up because we don't know they did that, or marrying these people and letting their money fall back to the white people. I feel like we're not entitled to anything from them, but we're signing like this unwritten contract where we're supporting you, Black owned businesses, Black celebrities, and all this other stuff because you're going to support the Black community. And then if you in turn do nothing to support the Black community, on some level, you've broken that unwritten, unspoken agreement.
Yeah.
We're pouring into you so that you can pour into the community. You can do more as an individual than I can do as an individual. So if I support you, then you can support the community. And if you choose not to do that, then now we have to look at you differently. Like who was that we had a show about that what he did to Eartha Kitt? Belafonte, Harry Belafonte. Right. So if you're going to use your power and influence to not support the Black community or even to undermine Black women, Black men, the Black community, then we have to really think about how we're supporting not just these celebrities, but these organizations, because we have to do more than just support a Black person or a Black organization or Black community. We have to support a Black movement that's about supporting Black people. Because if we're not going to have a legacy, like you said, that can go from one generation to the next, then what are we really doing? We're just giving it back to them anyway. I could have just went to Target and got what I needed to get instead of driving all the way down to your spot. I just burnt up my gas to help support you for nothing because you're going to give it back to him anyway.
Yeah.
I could have saved myself the trouble.
I think, the thing that disappointed me, there was a lot of people who said, well, we'll give Tina a pass because Ike tried to literally beat her to death. And she said that, once after she's done with Ike, she wasn't messing with no Black people again. And apparently, Black men again. And apparently she had a troubled relationship with her mother. So a lot of people said between her relationship with her mom and her relationship with Ike, we give her a pass. Now, I call BS on that because how many Black dudes who are sellouts and who say, "Oh, I don't mess with sisters. I just mess with, white girls," or I go out, I'm what they call them, the passport bros, because Black women don't know how to do this, and my mama wasn't shit, and blah 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 blah. And we call them out repeatedly on that, and we let them know, nah, bro, you can't associate one person's one bad character, one bad apple's actions to a whole segment of our community. You can't say because, I had this Black woman who did me dirty. Now I'm going to just take a collective dump on all Black women, right? And say, no, I'm not messing with none of y'all. I'm just going to be on the snow bunny train. So why are we giving Tina a pass? Now, I'm not trying to disrespect Tina. I don't have anything against her, but I think we are missing out on, and this is why we stay losing as a community. Part of the reason why we stay losing as a community, we don't recognize that sex and marriage is war. If you watch like Game of Thrones, like the fictional story where they talked about, hey, listen, there's war that's fought on the battlefield, but there's also war through marriage and who you line up your seeds with and the partnerships and alliances. And there's a book by Chancellor Williams called The Destruction of the Black Civilization. Everybody should read it. And I think if everybody read that book, we wouldn't have so much confusion in our community. Because what they said in the book was when the Caucasians and the Asians, when they entered into Africa, they would marry their offspring into the African family.
Highest ranking families. Only the highest ranking families.
They would marry their family in, right? Because they knew that the offspring from that marriage, from that relationship, would produce a mixed child. And it often said those mixed offspring had more contempt for Black people than the people who were white, because they wanted to get as far away from that as possible, right? So I know I'm preaching on this. So they wanted to get as far away from that as possible. So then what happened? They would then, you think they would get with another African? No, they would get with another Asian, another white. And then pretty soon, 3 or 4 generations, that money, that power is right back into the white or Asian community.
And now that's why they think Egyptians are white.
Sex and marriage is war. And Tina and the money that she amassed, this is a prime example of that. Now, again, I will say, because there's a lot of Negroes out here who are simple and say, well, why do we have to count her money? Like, what's like, why are we watching her pockets? Listen, man, no other community does this. Why do you think they did their damnedest to get Meghan Markle up out of Buckingham Palace? They did they damnedest like, nah. We don't know if this little baby.
Communicated him. He lost his title.
Yeah, he had to give up his title. They say, hey man, this ain't gonna stop until we just say, listen, we don't want no more. We
Hang
done.
with that little chocolate girl, but you can't still be royalty.
See what I'm saying? And we got to be smarter when we approach these type of things. Now, if you want to have an interracial relationship, that's on you. That's fine. I'm not here to tell you who to love. Oh.
Just leave all your money to your black family.
Right. Yeah, do like Mike. Do like MJ. I wish C was on the show. MJ C get MJ a prize. She said everybody went to the black family. But you know, Michael Jackson, the greatest entertainer ever. You know, Mike adopted them white kids. I think the youngest boy might be his. I think Blanket might be Mike's.
The fact that we have to call this dude Blanket is all that I need to know.
I think Blanket might be a Jackson. He really might.
We're having a serious conversation right now about whether or not Blanket is a Jackson.
Now he kind of looked like Mike when Mike was younger, man. You know, before the surgeries, he kind of.
I got revitiligo.
You said it. But you see, when Mike passed, he left all that shit to his mama. He left like 50% of the money to his mama. He split it up the restaurant charity and the white kids that he adopted, but he left it with his mama. Now, and Mike did it right. Unfortunately, Prince didn't leave a will. Now Prince was pro-black. His family members got the money, but the government, you know, they got their paws into it.
Portion, sure.
They went to probate and all that. So we just got to do a lot better. I don't give Miss Turner a pass.
Nope.
This is a lesson that we need to learn from. And, you know, rest in peace. I'm not trying to, you know, diminish her.
No disrespect.
Yeah, no disrespect, but this is a grave mistake. And it's very unfortunate, in my personal opinion.
It was an opportunity to make a power move.
Yeah.
That was left on the table.
Now, if she wanted to give money to her life partner, I honestly don't see a problem with that. But, you know, none of it comes back to the community. None of it. You like Miss Turner, you came up during segregation. You 83 years old.
You know what East St. Louis could have done with a 1% of what she gave those white people.
Listen, she 83, Aryka. Tina Turner, 83 when she died. That means she was born, 1940? We talk about it often on this show. She wasn't even born a full citizen. She was born, we didn't even have the right to vote. And all that money go back to the white folks? This don't sit right with me. But anyway, y'all let us know. Are we tripping? Are we out of bounds with this? Should we mind our business? I don't think so, and I'm not going. But
go crazy on YouTube like y'all did over Chris Rock.
Right. But y'all let us know. Other than that, I think we talked about it enough. Make sure y'all follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at manlistenshow. Subscribe to the show on YouTube. Leave a comment. You can go to our website, www.manlistenshow.com. You can listen to our old episodes. We're creeping up on 150 episodes, and we're going to be kicking it for that 150. So make sure you go back, listen to the old episodes, share it with your people. Let everybody know about the Blackest Radio Show on the internet. The Man Listen Show will holler at you. Peace. Shout out to Lav and C. Hey, when I said Republican buy shoes too, it'd have been great if C had been on the show. That'd have been perfect.